So yeah, welcome back to the Twitch cast, I guess, with some technical difficulties and
No, just start it fresh from here. This will be fine. This
yeah.
will be fine. They don't need all of our banter about you getting engaged. They don't care about you.
Well, I can I can see into the future. There's going to be a lot of YouTube comments about the fact in the first 2 minutes that I got engaged. I mean, it's the greatest love story.
Oh,
Did you see all those comments on and likes?
it's out of
Gosh,
control.
I'm viral.
It's out of control. Your head's exploding on the screen in front of me.
That's just my hair.
All right, so I just got back from a quick trip that came out of the blue. Um, a lot of people grab our videos or do searches online, end up finding their way to my blog, my old blog that I don't really keep up anymore, of these videos we do. Or they'll find stories, from different things that we've been involved with over the past few years that we've gotten out in the public spotlight a little more. But so this company called up and they said, hey, I think it was just a form email that was titled like Zach call me, like that was the title of the email. And so either you or Ross or Dustin or somebody's like, I think this one's for you, Zach. So I wrote the guy back and we had a phone call and, like things are moving quickly and can you fly out to Vegas? And I said, well, if you buy me a ticket and put me up in a hotel, then I'll come out next week for a couple of days. So they arranged everything and I flew out this week on Tuesday. It was nice because I got to meet up with a couple other partners and clients that we have in the area that have a lot of stuff going on. And so, I wanted to touch base on a topic that is becoming more and more predominant. I mean, working with all of the universities that are calling these other centers. I mean, we're talking about people that are getting into this industry that are spending six figures, sometimes seven figures on building out a space. And it's all centered around esports and gaming. And it's like they leave their thought around esports and gaming and how that's going to work to the end. And not in an unintelligent way. They just assume that that's going to be the easiest piece because building a big arena is, a multi-million dollar task with tons of other contractors and like approval for permits from the city and getting everybody involved with the utilities and all of those things are a big deal. And then they just get to the end of the process and they're like, okay, now let's think about how we're going to get the gaming thing done because that was the easiest thing. Let's leave it to the end. And it's not that it's complicated. It's just there's certain ways to do things that makes life a lot easier for these IT guys that have to then run these on a constant basis. After the grand opening happens, there's people that are there that are dealing with 100 or 200 or 300 computers over a period of time. So our big partnership in China that we're working on with a huge location, is 305 stations. Luckily, they're 3 to 6 months ahead of the curve and they've got us involved in the beginning. And what we'll do for them is we'll go in and do a full service offering where we come in and consult on the network side. We come in and consult on how to lay the thing out so that we've got, the right amount of PCs in different areas for tournaments and different activities they want to engage in. And then we also come in and provide them beyond ggLeap and ggCircuit. We provide them solutions for updating and maintaining the games and setting up the licenses and those sort of things. So, a lot of these companies are getting into this and I don't know that they spend enough time and effort thinking about those pieces. And then I think, we've made the mistake somehow because we're so full service on a lot of pieces that ggLeap provides. I think we give off the idea that some of these other things are included with ggLeap, so I think a lot of people just assume you install ggLeap on a gaming PC and then it does everything for you, which is our goal. I mean, to be frank, that is our goal, is to make that as seamless and integrated as possible for a year or two down the road. But right now, what we're focusing on is the pieces that are like a dire necessity of the software. So security, user management, safety, making sure that it tracks time, making sure that it does game licenses, and then obviously our integration with the games and our unique point and stat system is where we're focused on right now. Now, will we go back in, who knows if it's in 3 months or 6 months or 9 months, but I think before the end of the year, we'll start working on some of these other pieces for personal user files and game saves locally so the users can play more and more games. But right now people just don't think about those pieces. So they assume we're going to set all this up and somebody's going to walk in and they're going to say, hey, there's a new game out, Vermintide's out. Like, I want to play it. Do you guys have it yet? Okay, no, let me go install it. Well, depending on how your system's set up, like, do you want to install it 150 times on 150 computers and then have to maintain that image one at a computer at a time with updates, as there's updates for that one game, just for 5 or 6 or 10 people that may want to play that? So most centers just skip it. They just move off into setting up all these other games that 80% of their players will play, and that's how they kind of manage their game installations. So I just want to talk a little bit today about the difference between what it really means to start and operate a game center. This is the piece that I think a lot of people miss. Some people, and this, J-Mac, they'll call us and they'll say, do you have the game licenses? Like, we've dug around everywhere. How do we get licensed to be able to run this?
We get commercial licenses.
Right. And again, we work with the publishers in our software. There is no official commercial license program for a lot of these games. What they care about is don't break the fact that you have to have one license per operating title of the game, one operating instance of the game. So if you have 50 players playing CSGO in your center, you need 50 copies of CSGO for them to be able to play it. Now, if a player shows up and they own CSGO, absolutely, they can just launch Steam and then they can play their own copy of CSGO that they already own. Do you have to then go get a license to be able to offer that game in your center? No, there's not a license for that. I mean, there were programs in the past that have been canceled. It was too difficult to maintain those. And again, a lot of these games now have gone free to play. So it doesn't really matter to the publisher if there's a commercial license to play League of Legends at your center. What they care about is that player has their own account, which is free, and then they hopefully get involved in the game enough that they buy little things in the game, and that's how the publisher makes money. So, when you start up and you think about starting up a center, the piece that I don't want people to miss is that I feel like that there are two big differences in setting up your games on your PCs that are separate. Okay, so one of them is the controlling of the PC, managing the users, managing the launching of games and all that. That is what we provide. ggCircuit, ggLeap, that is what we provide. The piece that we don't provide, but we'll offer consulting services and we'll come out to your location and help you set this up, and this is applicable for these bigger clients, is how do you get the games all installed and then maintain those in a reasonable amount so you don't have to have a staff of 10 IT professionals running around and updating games, because Fortnite has a 3 gig update every week. And then all of a sudden, 2 days later, there's NVIDIA drivers updates that need to be put on there because there was a bug in the ones that ran Fortnite before. And then PUBG has an update to fix a couple things, and then the Epic launcher has an update. And how do we get that better? Because, you're playing Fortnite and Unreal with it, like there's so much maintenance of those game images that people skip over worrying about and setting up correctly the first time. So, and again, we're not affiliated with any of these other companies, but there's products out there. If you're super smart, Pixie Boot is what a lot of stuff's built on. Is I believe it's freeware on maybe Linux. I don't want to say what it's on because I just know that a lot of these other companies have used that core concept to build their other products that are built for the gaming industry. So you might think about it in a VMware atmosphere. So if you're in a hospital and you launch up a thin client, the concept's kind of like that. Like, there's no actual hard drive or anything locally there running. You can log into your quote unquote desktop from home on any other PC, from your thin client in the office. And those are all ran from images on servers that is part of this massive VMware network. And there's a lot of companies that offer that. However, all of the processing is done at the server level. So you cannot do video games in that atmosphere. And it just really pushes the graphical content because you use graphic cards that are on the servers to render the graphics. And then that has to be passed through the internet connection to wherever you're at, or the LAN connection to wherever you're at. So playing high-end PC games is just not possible. We've even tested it with Minecraft and things with our VMware partners that do this. It's just not ready for that yet. And if it is, because some of the cutting-edge VMware stuff, it will do that, super expensive. because then you're talking about people that need to do like massive AutoCAD work or things in an office. So you can buy that, but you only want to pay that for that one special person. You don't want 80 people in your office trying to run that high-end version, because it's like crazy expensive to run that per month for that license.
Right.
So what we use is a company that we've gotten to know pretty well called ggBoot. And what it does is that it allows you to build a PC, a pretty beefy PC. It would be easier to build your own than it would be to order one of these from a manufacturer, because there's certain little quirky things that you would want to get put in a certain way building your own. And by a server, we don't really need to even be like a rack mounted server if you don't want to. It could just be built in a decent, a larger size PC case. But what this does is this provides you the ability to run about 100 gaming PCs is what they say. Now, it'll go a little bit above that, but we usually try to keep under that number per server. And then you do not have to have any kind of operating system or anything running on the PCs. So each one of those will then boot off the network from that server on the local network. You have to have gigabit network running out to the PC, and then you don't have to worry about constantly updating all of those different things, and you don't have to worry about re-imaging anything like you would in another network where an imaging server pushes out a new image. And what I mean by that is there's a hard drive then in the computer, and the imaging server says, oh, there's been some updates, I got to push out a whole new image to this PC. Anytime that there's changes, you don't really want to do that. No matter how fast you can make that process, that means on Tuesday morning, if there's a League of Legends update, you've got to update the image, and then you've got to push that image out to all 100 or 200 or 300 PCs in the network. Mm-hmm. That's still going to take time. You don't want to have to mess with that on a Tuesday morning as you're getting ready to open. So this will allow you to go to the server, update the main image on the server, and then all the 150 PCs just boot up and turn on for the day using that brand new image. There's no transfer of data over the network to a hard drive on the local PC. However, for gaming, it still uses the PC gaming components locally, so that after it loads all the game data into the local memory, then it's able to use the graphics card and the RAM and the processor and everything there on that local machine. So gaming performance is still optimal on that local machine. You're not running off of the graphics card or the RAM or anything on the server. All that's doing is using all of its power to transfer those data files down into the local memory of the client PC, so that it's running League of Legends locally on all of its components, not off of the server. Now, I know it's like, if you think about it, it kind of ruins the whole idea of ggLeap being a web-based solution. Like, our thing is, hey, you could fire up a server and drop a client in anywhere. That's absolutely true. Like, if you have a small network and you're only doing 10 or 20 PCs, ggBoot is probably not something you need, because you'll just be able to manage those. And then you also have the flexibility of just kind of moving them around, and you don't have to get this beefy server to do that stuff for you. You know, the server is probably going to cost you $5,000 in parts. So you think about a $5,000 investment. It's probably not wise to do that on a 10 or 20 computer network. Yeah. You know, if you get up to 30 or 40 or 50, now you have to think about, okay, I've got my employees coming in, or myself if I'm a small operator, and I got to do this work every day. What's the value of my time? It's, you know, do I mind going around to all of them and doing all these updates? If I don't, if it's just part of what my employees do, then you decide that at that point, what's worth it, that $5,000. And in licensing for it, you know, with ggBoot, it runs between $2 and $4 per PC per month. You know, we work with them and we get wholesale licenses. We try to get the price down as much as we can. We don't resell those or anything. We're just trying for our clients to make sure we give them the best solution. So back to my China example is that, you know, we're doing full service for that client. So we'll be involved as almost like a general contractor on the project when it comes to gaming. Are we going in and giving them advice on how to build out the look and feel of the space or the branding or any of that? No, like a lot of these big clients, they have huge marketing departments that are great at that. They have great IT departments that just need, you know, the pathway given to them and some guidance to get started, and then they'll maintain it just fine. Like, our goal is to not, you know, go out and lock somebody down into some sort of like $5,000 a month contract where we help maintain their network. We don't want to be your IT department. We want to teach you how to fish. We don't want to fish for you, because then, there's only so many people we could help if we constantly have to do that for a lot of different clients. So and I'll wrap up here, and you can kind of fill in anything that I miss. But of the three people I met in Vegas, I think all three had not gotten to the point where they'd thought about those things, or they're in a state where the other piece that I think a lot of these people are missing is they'll end up getting 2 or 3 or 4 systems that are running separately and not tied together. That's my other big fear. So they'll have a great point of sale system. They'll have a great reward system, and then they'll have their esports system. And for me, like, especially these bigger clients with multiple locations, I don't understand why they're not looking at this as like, I need to have that user have one connect point with me. And it doesn't really need to be ggCircuit, ggLeap. We can interface with other software very easily. We have a robust API. Most of these other bigger point of sale providers and reward providers have an API, but we can be the company that comes in and ties those together. We're willing to do that, and it's worth the money being spent up front, because I was in a client out in Vegas, and I watched at their desk in the esports lounge, they have 3 systems set up. And if you're coming in to pay, you pull up point of sale, and you sell 5 hours for $20 or whatever it is. And then you move over to the other management system that runs the computers, and you type in whatever it is, and it's not even connected at all.
Yeah, thank God, shut him up. I think that the situation that we're finding in Las Vegas is that these clients that we are talking to, they want an awesome experience for their gamers. But their focus is more on, I feel like, professional events versus the normal gamers, which is going to be the majority of the people that are coming into their space. And so I think just as a blanket situation, like, don't forget about the gaming experience. You want the place to look awesome. You want the right mix of food, snacks, and drinks. You want the best chairs and peripherals. But let's not forget the opinion of the customer comes down to the gaming experience. So, and this is just with our regular customers. Don't just throw up a bunch of PCs and expect magic to happen. Like, there's too much going on in the gaming world that it changes all the time, just like technology. And so their biggest opinion of your place is going to be, did I get in there? Did I get a great gaming experience versus launching games, waiting for them to update, yada, yada.
Right. And it reminds me of when we went to Kansas City, into the place that was like a bar that had these plates on the ceiling. And if you drank so many beers in their system, they tracked how many beers you drank. And it created that continuity across all of the players' visits. So there was always some sort of continuity in keeping that player engaged. And then I had a person tell me there's like a beer world chain that builds out these locations that have an app. And as you go in, you give them your ID. And when you buy these different beers, it actually registers which ones you've unlocked or which ones you've done. To me, these are the same sort of things all of these venues have to think about is, like, make this player part of our network. If we have our own reward system, like, I guarantee you these bigger clients have reward systems that are robust, and it's not a problem to get them tied into our system as far as their rewards points go. Same thing with these point of sale systems. Our point of sale system we just built intentionally is built internally off of our own API. So our point of sale system interacts with our core through APIs. And we did that so other point of sale systems can be built into it. Like, we don't have to only offer our point of sale system. We're not in the point of sale business. Like, if you're a $29, $59, $99, even a $200 a month enterprise customer, but you're just one location, we want to provide for you this whole solution that you can buy, pay one fee and we'll provide all that for you. But if you're a giant enterprise and you've already got 50 locations running all over the world and you're adding in esports into that system, why in the world would we not tap into your existing network of rewards customers or your existing point of sale system? Even if you don't have consistency now, we could become the core of that consistency. So maybe you don't check a user in your point of sale system. You know, somebody sits down at a table in your restaurant, you know, you don't ask them what their username is or their account is. You just serve them food and you ring it up. But if they came in and they handed you a card or they gave you their username or whatever it is, and you could start tracking that food and beverage, and that's tied then into the esports arena with the same username, now all of that stuff is in the same system. And now, like, I don't know anybody that wouldn't love to track the buying habits of all of their people across their point of sale network.
Yeah.
If it doesn't do that already, putting in esports gives you the ability to say, you know what, we track all your stats. Might as well track your food and beverage purchases at the same time.
Right. And I think the last point that I wanted to make is that there is no tool out there right now that does it all.
No.
There's one tool that's great at updates, and they have a client that just provides the games that games are updated. We do a great job with the client and the cloud and game licenses and rewards. And then there's a handful of others, you know, competitors out there that do medium work of all that stuff. I think that we will get there as we continue to develop over the next year. But, you know, regardless what system you go with, whether it's ggLeap or whether it's any of our competitors, you're still going to have to integrate with something else to make your game experience awesome.
Right. Yep. Exactly. All right. Let's talk real quickly then about my trip out there. So I met with three different partners, and we don't have to talk about who, you know, because it's not really relevant as much as I want to share my excitement in the industry as some of these bigger players get involved. And again, you know, all roads somehow end up leading back to us as a progressive, you know, marching forward software and events provider. You know, and we want to integrate with these people and be a good partner and fill in the gaps for them in some of these areas. So, you know, I think 2018 we've said is going to be a crazy year for the industry. And I just wanted to tie into a little bit of, you know, some of the things that have happened with Fortnite recently and Twitch and the whole story of Drake getting on with Ninja and playing, you know, matches online and setting all kinds of single streamer records for consecutive viewers and things. And, you know, it's kind of what we've seen that started last year, and hats off to the Robert Morrises and the UCIs and some of these early adopters in the university realm. But, you know, it's just it's no longer becoming a thing that people are like, it's a fad or a trend or whatever. Like, it's starting to become a real aspect of everyone's lives, you know, like it's like, I don't know if it's like every year that goes by as much as it is every month that goes by. You know, like every month something else happens as a milestone that makes this industry more applicable. And especially for all of us running centers, like there is just some crazy cool things happening that will activate gamers all around the world to get to physical locations to do things together that they can't do at home. Like all of these partners and these big players that are getting in, none of us want to go away from, let's just have people play at home, because ultimately what a lot of these partners are talking to me about is the centers play a big role in authenticating who that player is, and that player having one account. And it's not that player making free accounts over and over and over again online. So, you know, engaging and having an activity where you say, hey, we want to have a tournament, and just allowing people to join online, there's not an easy way to really qualify who that individual is. You know, like, sure, they may have a League of Legends account and they play in a League of Legends match. You know, how long have they had that account? You know, like that's really the only way you can identify, like if they've had that same account for 2 or 3 or 4 years, you know, then that's pretty good idea. That's a real player, and that's who they say they are. But how do you keep that account from logging in at another location? You know, how do you account for that player sharing that account somewhere else? And then how do you take care of like teams and players cheating, you know, using different voice services while they're connected from different locations because they're not physically all in one location. Yep. And then obviously they all just treat each other like crap online. Like, if we're face to face and we're physically in the same spot, like, sure, there's trash talking and everything that you would do, but there's also respect. And there's just not that level of respect I've seen with these matches online. And it ends up then being an experience that it's just not that fun. So Fortnite just announced they're going to do a fun celebrity streamer duo tournament at E3 this year, which is, I know, is jumping right off the back of Ninja and Drake playing duos and breaking the internet, or whatever you want to say that was happening. So, they'll take the top 50 streamers and get 50 celebrities that play Fortnite and team them up and have this fun event. It will be at E3 in person. Like, they're intentionally doing it that way because it's so much more of a legitimate experience, like, and again, I don't know. Like, it depending on the level of celebrities they get to participate, flying a bunch of YouTubers out's easy. YouTubers want to be in the spotlight. They'll jump on a plane. You buy them a plane ticket. You put them in a hotel. I don't know a YouTuber that wouldn't show up to that event. We know that from PopCon.
Yeah, and plus they won't ask for like a minimum. They just want to meet their fans.
Right.
Majority of them want to meet their
Right.
fans, and they just want to be there for the experience.
So the exciting part is that it seems like celebrities may take the same attitude when it comes to gaming. That was the whole point of Drake jumping on the stream with Ninja. Like, it was just like they just talked about it. They just got it figured out. I mean, he was on a PlayStation, I believe, and Ninja's on the PC. So cross-platform play enabled that to happen. But there was no sponsors putting it together. Neither one did it. They did it because the two of them were just like, dude, this is cool. We should just get together and play sometime.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if commercializing it at E3 is going to change the celebrities' attitude of showing up for that event. But I can tell you that we're in talks with publishers, that are going to engage experiences at LAN centers very much so like what Fortnite's doing at E3 this year.
Yeah.
So they want to push people to physical locations and give them rewards, something in game, an event that you can only play at that center. And, that's what all of these publishers are going to want to see. So if publishers want there to be 500 to 1,000 new centers built in the United States alone, like, we've got their backing. What do you think all of the manufacturers and, peripheral makers are going to want to do? They're going to want to be on top of that and help fuel that as well. So they're the ones being seen in all those. So in my trip to Vegas, like, there's big name partners already involved for providing hardware for these things that are going to be announced, I'm sure, in the near future. Like, crazy names. Like, when one of the sponsors, they told me who it was, I was like, would have never guessed that in a million guesses. Like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't have guessed that company, but that company's humongous.
Mm-hmm.
Like, a humongous company that's going to sponsor them. And I'm like, that totally makes sense. Like, so anyway, it was an exciting trip. It really brought to the forefront for me what we need to do as a company to fill the gap for some of these bigger players in these realms. Again, not that we can't just point them in the right direction and they figure it out, but it may be, for time's sake, we've got to get involved, and it's probably going to mean that we're not going to do our conventions this year, because basically what we'll be doing is we'll physically be going to do these events and setups in a permanent space for these people in a manner like we've done our setups at PopCon and Gen Con and places before. So, if all the equipment and everything's there and we can walk in with our team, a team of 2 or a team of 4 of our people showing up on site can get one of these set up and running in a week or less. Like, we've done Gen Con in 2 days for years now. 300 stations in 2 days is no problem. And again, these companies all have the money and the wherewithal to coordinate getting electrical build outs and network set up, and they can have it ready to go for us to just roll in, train them on how to set everything up, help them set everything up, make sure their grand opening goes well. It's kind of what we did for UCI,
Mm-hmm.
like the same sort of thing. Like, we went out there to just support them with our software and then help them with so many other pieces of getting the center open. Dustin was helping them clone PCs and find workarounds to get some of the games working that, take a little bit of quirky, weird setups. And again, once we showed Patrick and those guys how to do it, Patrick's like, piece of cake. I can take it from here. Thanks, guys, for coming out.
Right.
So
yeah, a couple notes on that, and and it doesn't matter if you have 10 PCs or 100 PCs. We still have 50% of people that come to us 2 days before they open wanting the software and expecting to be able to set that up without any experience. So just a warning to whether you're a big conglomerate or whether you are a small cafe, make sure you got like a month lead time to get
I
stuff
was
set
giving
up.
these guys a hard time because all the meetings I had, the 3 meetings, the reason why they flew me out there is that the ones that flew me out there have an activation they've got to do for a sponsor at the end of April,
Hmm.
and I'm like, okay, so like we're just now starting conversations of how we can be involved, and they want to know how much we can help them with. That's 6 weeks away is when they're going to have a major sponsor show up at their venue
Hmm.
to see an example of how it's going to be running.
Yeah.
And their venue currently has not begun any construction.
Yeah.
So I have no idea how they're going to do that in 6 weeks. We can do our part. We can be involved 100%. It'll have to be a temporary setup for them because they're not going to be able to get their grand vision put in place. But, again, the other ones, like everybody, I was giving them a hard time. I'm like, when is somebody going to call me? Like, I love our contract that we were working on in China because like they'll move fast when it's ready to go, but they're also a gigantic company that has this proposal process and finance, like it took us months to just get certified to be a vendor for their company. And that whole time just allows us plenty of planning. So when it's time, we can go fast, but we've got everything lined up so that everything happens at one time. Where these other ones, I feel like they get all these other pieces going. I use the example of like, if there's 10 very, very important things to get set up and be ready to go, these other companies are doing 9 of them like spectacularly, like way better than I would ever do them.
Hmm.
Layout and look and feel and the customer experience, the flow of traffic like they've got all that on lockdown. But the one of the 10 things that they just don't spend enough time on is the core of the whole business, which I don't understand why they leave that for last to think about, like it's bizarre to me, like one of these clients is grand openings next week, and the PC parts are arriving today and they're going to hand build all the PCs. I can't even imagine it, like, and the best part is there's hundreds of people building the space and the poor guys, it's 2 guys in the IT department that are going to build 150 PCs and install all the games and have all that ready and running for their launch next weekend.
Yeah. I think that they've revised that though. They may hold off on the opening, but yeah, and that's just what was said in the chat.
Yeah.
But the I guess we're about ready to close on time, and what I wanted to mention was Fortnite is killing it right now, not just on Twitch. Like,
Yep.
I was shocked to see a message from one of our centers who's like League of Legends, tried and true, bleeding 80 carries, and they said that for the first time they had to cancel their weekly league event because Fortnite is taking over. And so I think we always wondered forever what's going to kill League of Legends, and we said nothing. But now with
Right.
with the PUBGs and the Fortnites and the collection of battle royale games that's out there that are free to play, that are easy entry, they're taking off. The other
Yeah,
thing,
I've got some notes here. Did you read my notes or not? So
no,
I want to
I
cover
never
real
read your
quickly.
notes.
I know you hate my notes. So just real quickly, let's cover some housekeeping stuff before we wrap up. So ggLeap updates. I don't know if everybody's noticing, but we're working on new releases weekly now, either admin-based, client-based, or core back-end-based. We've ramped up a lot of our development. Just all kinds of great stuff's going on in the background. Hopefully we'll be able to do press releases with some of our new partnerships in the next couple weeks. But just specifically so activity trackers released, and we'll do a write-up on that and some more details and probably a video on that. But I don't want to skip over some of these things too quickly. Activity tracker, basically now you can go in and you can get an export. And this is important for a lot of people that wanted to import it into other things that they use, whether it be their own point of sale or bookkeeping or accounting software, their own reporting system, even just into Excel where they can massage the data and get graphs and reports for things. That is running and live in the new admin, so you can get in there and play with that. We did some updates to the new admin, some bug fixes. Our goal is to be fully moved over to the new admin by the end of April. So the old admin functionality, we hope to have moved over into the new admin by the end of April, alongside the full release of the point of sale and some other features that I know we don't want to talk about what's being built, but I don't think it's a problem to just mention what we're working on. We're not saying a deadline. We're not saying a date. But, if we've started the development team working on this project, then it is now being worked on. It's no longer in the roadmap. We're going to get to this down the road. Like, we've started the development team on those pieces. So we've started the development team, obviously, on, we're going to call it client purchasing. Okay, so that's a big piece that a lot of centers have requested all over the world. It seems more so than the United States. It's very important for them to full service with their player that's sitting at the client and be able to purchase from the client. We're not talking about ordering. We're talking about purchasing. Like, I can click a couple buttons and purchase a couple hours with my coins, or I can purchase some hours with my credit on my account, or I can purchase a hamburger and then you can bring me a hamburger. It's not ordering, it's purchasing. That is under process. We've spec'd that out, and we'll start sharing these with, probably in the next week, we'll share you the activity tracker update, and we'll show you how detailed these things are in our development group of exactly how we're building it, exactly how it's going to be built, detailed down to the very minute detail of how that's going to be laid out. So we'll start sharing some of those as they're finished. We'll share with you that development roadmap of that one piece and show you everything that has to do with it. We're also working on, what's the other big one that we started this week?
Reports.
Yeah, so we're the advanced reporting. We're talking about the ability to get a Monday morning email with all of the financial reports from the week before. What you'd be used to in a full-blown point of sale system, as far as like how you can customize your reports and get your reports out to show you your profit and loss when it comes to each of the pieces of selling things in the center. PC groups just got started. We just queued that one up, spec'd it out, and started it this week. I know it's a big one that a lot of people have been waiting on. And then, you can use your brains to figure out, okay, when those things are done, what will be the things that are going to be started right after those. So lots of ggLeap updates happening. And then we'll jump in real quick to ggCircuit updates. So I'm wearing this shirt on purpose because we're announcing today, and the dates could fluctuate by a week or so, but we're pretty solid on these dates. So season 7 is going to start April 23rd. So it's about 6 weeks away, 5.5 weeks away. We will next week have the prize crates ready for everybody to purchase. Either a link that we'll post that just goes to a PayPal shopping cart. However we put it out there, we'll have it out there. We'll promote it. But Gamdias is coming on board as our prize crate sponsor. And so the prize crates will be $150 like they were before. That will include shipping to the following areas: USA, Canada, South America, and Australia. So Gamdias can ship directly to those areas. Anybody else in other areas, it will be funky. Like, if you want to do it, if you're dying to do it, it'll be DHL shipping with us. From the US, we'll have to work with trying to get it over to you. It's not easy. I apologize, but we're working with these partners, and they're in a lot of countries, but their distributors in Europe, for example, are extremely sensitive to them shipping out direct to customers and not going through the distributors. They have to protect their distributor network in some of these other countries. So, if we can get them in and ship them out to you, we'll try to, but it's very expensive. We're talking $200 to $300, sometimes $400 US extra to ship with DHL to get those packages over to you. And then you got to pay customs fees, and, it may not be worth it, but it's $660 worth of Gamdias equipment, 4 keyboards, 4 mice, 4 earbud headphones, 4 mouse pads, 4 headsets. So 20 items over the 10-week season that you can give out. A week of preseason, 8 weeks of regular season, and then a week of finals. We'll also ship out from ggCircuit to the first 50 that sign up. We'll send out trophies and medals and hopefully some other knick-knacky season 7 things like lanyards, maybe some pins or wrist bracelets or some other things that can be part of your package to give out to players. That'll be limited to the first 50 just because I have to pre-order those and pay for those, and I don't want to order 250 if we only have 120 centers. So I'm guessing that we'll have 50 that do this. Gamdias is willing to do as many that sign up in their regions. So, if we have 27 sign up in the USA, they'll ship out to all 27 in the USA. Canada, South America, Australia, they'll ship anywhere direct for us to all those different areas. So $150, you'll get this prize crate. It's great because you'll have prizes to give away every week of the season to just your local players. You can do it. We recommend doing the medals and trophies for your top players and then doing the random prize wheel drawings that is available online if you have any questions about where to find that for the other prizes. So if anybody plays at all in your center, they have a chance to win one of the Gamdias prizes. We have Zehn Masters starting up. Well, before I do that, we're hoping to have a big announcement as far as North America goes for the season in the next week or two. There's a reason why the season's been delayed till April 23rd. We hope we can tell everybody why. You will want to be in this season and pay attention to this season once we make this announcement in North America. And unfortunately, I know everybody feels like stepchildren in other countries, but our contacts are in charge of the North American thing. If it goes well, it can expand to other countries. If you're in North America and you have a center, you will want to be a part of this if we make this announcement, hopefully in the next couple weeks. Season 2 for Zehn Masters is also starting. There's only 3 spots left. I'm super excited. It's fully funded this time. $10,000 is sitting in the PayPal account, ready to be paid out to the winners. There's a few spots left for centers to join that. It's such a great, if you want to offer esports events, like I can't imagine why people would not do this. You can pick just little ones that you want to do. If you only want to do PUBG, I don't understand why we don't have 20 or 30 centers doing just PUBG. It's $150 to have a team enter into the national tournament, and it's limited to 1 team per center. So you can hold a local qualifier like Ian up at Not Your Parents' Basement Gaming Lounge is doing a great job. Every week they're just inviting teams of 4 to come in and play in ranked matches. And as high as they get, he gives them some points, and whoever has the most points represents them in this national tournament. And they'll be playing for $1,500, I think, in a PUBG server. Yeah. One event, $1,500, split between first and second, 80-20 on a Saturday, and 1 team per center is all that can enter into that.
Yeah, and just let me say really quickly that if you're going to get into Zehn Masters, make sure that you're taking advantage of Zehn Masters, because it's not just however much it is. I don't even know. $350 for the 10 events, let's say. I don't think it's way more than that. I don't know. But don't just pay for the tournaments and get a team to play in the national tournaments. Benefit your center to do local qualifiers, get people interested to coming to your center to play, and then crown your local qualifier to be entered into the national qualifier. They still play at your location for the national qualifier, so they don't have to travel anywhere, but get your investment in Zehn Masters back by doing local qualifiers.
Right, so it's $850 for all 10 events. So if you divide that up, it's $85 an event. Mm-hmm. Now, some of them are single-player events, but even if you only have 4 entries in your local tournament, you'll whoa,
bless you,
sneeze out of nowhere. You'll easily cover your investment by selling chances for players to come in and play in your qualifiers. It doesn't take very many. So over 10 events, you only need 85 people to pay $10 over 10 events, so that's 8.5 people per event. Like one League of Legends event is 10 people if you have 2 teams, and chances are if you get 4 teams, that's 20 people coming into the event. So it's very easy for you to make back the money. The other piece is that it builds value of your brand and your community. So you want those players to play for something so they can feel good about representing your store as the winner of the local event. Not just that they paid money to be the team that paid money to represent your center. They are the best of the best for your local, venue. And that itself is a prize, just being able to represent your center. A lot of them will get jerseys. They'll put jerseys on their local players and make them feel good about it. Some of the centers that had the best luck last season in the first event or the first series are the ones that really took that mileage of getting jerseys out, building it up. Their players are super excited for the next one. They're getting more entries into their local qualifiers than they did in the first one. Again, You get deals from jersey places. If you buy 100 or 200 of these jerseys at a time, you can get them down to like 12 to 13 bucks a jersey. Like if you buy enough of them at one time, keep them on site. And then when you have local teams win or local players win, put a jersey on them. Make that part of their prize. A $12 jersey is all it would cost you to make them feel good about themselves representing you in this national tournament. So, all right. That's good enough for us today. Apologize you had to use your mobile data plan to get it to work well. We'll see what that bill comes back.
Yeah. All right, dude.
I just wanted to make sure we covered the trip to Vegas details while it was fresh in my mind getting back yesterday. And then again, we're going to try to get back in the habit of doing these every week because we have weekly releases. It has nothing to do with the Twitchcast. I'm just saying we owe it to everybody to keep them up to date on what's going on because so much is going on every week. This was easy. It took me 10 minutes to make a little list, like it was not hard to get this week's together because we have so much going on to talk about. I didn't have to brainstorm, what to talk about because there's so much going on.
And plus it's probably been a month since we've done one. I know it's just exciting time. Very exciting time. All right. We'll talk to you again soon.
All right. See you, buddy.